The day my parents transferred our family auto shop to my sister's husband, I didn't yell or cry. I just stood there smelling motor oil and betrayal while they praised a man who still Googles how to change brake pads. 16 years of grease, sweat, and saving their business wiped out with one signature and a smug smile, but the moment they handed him my future, something inside me snapped. I didn't walk away defeated. I walked away dangerous, and what I built after that, they never saw coming. Most people smell gasoline and think danger. I smell it and think childhood. While other little girls were playing with dolls and pretending to host tea parties, I was in an oversized hoodie holding a flashlight while my dad swore at a rusted bolt under somebody's car. My lullabies weren't gentle songs, they were air ratchets and impact wrenches. I knew the difference between a timing belt noise and a bad alternator before I knew the difference between blush and bronzer. The auto shop wasn't just a family business, it was the place that raised me when my parents were too busy working to notice they were raising me. I learned to read off repair manuals, not storybooks. My first real compliment in life was my dad grunting, "You've got good hands," when I managed to pull a stripped bolt without breaking anything else. My sister, Paige, was the opposite. She hated the shop, hated the smell, the noise, the grime. She'd walk in with her perfect nails and wrinkle her nose like hard work was contagious. Where I saw engines and opportunity, she saw a greasy box I can't wait to move away from. And she did move. College, corporate job, Instagram perfect apartment, the whole polished life. I stayed. I stayed and kept the shop alive through recessions, slow seasons, and my parents' constant "we're getting too old for this" speeches. I handled customer calls, inventory, scheduling, payroll, even the pointless Facebook page my mom swore we needed. If it involved the shop, it went through me. Enter Nate, Paige's husband. He was one of those guys who could talk a lot without saying anything. The kind who wore sleek watches and designer sneakers into a garage like he thought he was blessing us with his presence. He'd lean on the counter, look around, and say stuff like, "This place has potential if you modernize the brand." This from the same man who asked me once, "So, a transmission that's like the car's engine Wi-Fi, right?" I thought he was joking. He wasn't. My parents, though, they loved him. Or more accurately, they loved what he represented: success, business brains, future son-in-law who could drag us into the digital age. Meanwhile, I was just the kid who knew how to keep the lights on, the doors open, and the customers coming back, which apparently didn't scream future to them. The day everything imploded was a Tuesday. Not dramatic, not special, just another day where I was elbow deep in an engine bay while my dad supervised from the office with his coffee. We were backed up on work orders, the phones were ringing nonstop, and the new apprentice had just put the wrong oil in a customer's car. I fixed it before anyone noticed, like always. Around noon, my mom stuck her head into the bay and said, "Can you come into the office when you're done with that one? We need to talk." Those 5 words, "we need to talk," should be listed as a biohazard. They ruin lives more quietly than any explosion. I wiped my hands, peeled off my gloves, and headed inside. The office smelled like coffee, printer ink, and old receipts. My dad sat behind the desk, stiff. My mom stood next to him holding a folder. Paige and Nate were seated in the corner like they were waiting to hear their lottery numbers. My stomach dropped. "What's going on?" I asked, leaning in the doorway. My dad cleared his throat in that guilty way he does when he's about to say something awful and pretend it's reasonable. "We've made a decision," he said. I didn't sit. "About what?" My mom offered a tight smile, the kind she used when trying to sell bad news as grown-up conversation. "About the future of the shop." I glanced at the walls, the framed photos of the shop's opening day, the fading certificate from the local business awards, the Polaroid of me as a kid holding a wrench twice the size of my forearm. My life was all over this room. "Okay," I said slowly. "What decision?" My dad pushed the folder forward. "We're transferring ownership of the auto shop." he said. To Nate. For a second, I genuinely thought I misheard him. My brain stuttered like a bad connection. To who? Nate adjusted his jacket. Paige gave me the same helpless smile she always used when benefiting from something she never asked for but never turned down. To Nate, my mom repeated. He's got business experience, a fresh perspective, and contacts that could really grow this place. I stared at them, one by one, feeling something cold and sharp curl up in my chest. You're giving my shop, I said slowly, to a man who once came in here asking which end of a jack goes under the car. Nate bristled. That was a joke. No, it wasn't, I snapped. My mom sighed. You're being emotional. You're being insane, I shot back. I've been running this place for years, doing the books, negotiating with suppliers, handling angry customers, training staff. I know every bolt in this building, and your big plan is to hand it to the guy who thinks an oil filter is that little cup thing? My dad slammed his hand on the desk. Enough. This isn't about him, it's about the business. We're tired, we're old, and we need someone who can take this to the next level. So you skipped the person who already keeps it alive, I asked. You didn't even offer me the chance to buy in, you just transferred it? Paige finally spoke up. It's not like that. You'll still be here. You'll still be head mechanic. Nate will just handle ownership, structure, strategy. So I get to do the dirty work while he plays boss? I laughed, but it came out hollow. Wow. Innovative structure there. My mom pinched the bridge of her nose. You've always been difficult when things don't go your way. That sentence landed like a slap, not because it was new, but because it was the script they always used when they didn't want to admit they were wrong. This isn't about my way, I said quietly. It's about respect. Silence. That ugly, loaded silence where truth hangs in the air and everyone pretends not to see it. My dad broke first. Look, he said, voice softer, we're not pushing you out. We want you here. We need you here. We just don't see you as the face of the business. There it was, the knife, not even hidden. So I'm good enough to break my back in the bay, but not good enough to have my name on the paperwork, I said. Got it. Paige looked down. Nate said nothing. My mom reached out like she was offering me a choice that didn't exist. We're giving you security, she said. You'll have a job as long as you want. Let Nate handle the big picture stuff. He's better with people. I thought about every customer who refused to talk to anyone but me. Every late night call from my dad begging me to cover another shift. Every crisis I'd solved while they slept. My chest felt tight, not from heartbreak. Something darker, something colder, something that tasted like metal and gasoline. No, I said softly. My mom blinked. No what? I reached behind my neck, pulled off my work lanyard, and set it on the desk next to the folder that apparently erased my existence. No, I'm not staying here to build some guy's ego while you pretend I'm lucky to watch. You can't be serious, my dad said. You're quitting? Over this? I'm not quitting, I corrected. I'm done. My mom's eyes widened. Where will you go? I don't know, I lied. In truth, my brain was already spinning through 100 possibilities. Anywhere that isn't here. Paige stood up, panic flickering across her face. You can't just leave. You need a mechanic you can underpay and overwork, I said. You'll find another one. Nate finally opened his mouth. You're overreacting. This is business. I stepped in, close enough for him to smell the oil and sweat he'd never earn. Then let's treat it like business, I said. You just lost your best asset before you even signed the papers. His smirk faltered. My dad looked like he wanted to yell. My mom looked like she wanted to cry. None of it moved me. I'd cried enough for all of us already in years they never noticed. You'll regret this, my father said quietly. You're throwing away your future. No, I said, backing toward the door. You did that for me this morning. I'm just reclaiming what's left. I walked out of the office, out of the shop, out into the sunlight that suddenly felt too bright. The air smelled like exhaust and hot pavement. My heart was pounding, but my steps were steady. For the first time since I was old enough to hold a wrench, I was no longer bound to that place. And as the auto shop door shut behind me with a tired metallic clank, one thought burned so clearly in my mind it almost scared me. If they think they can replace me that easily, they have no idea what's coming when I build something of my own. The moment I walked out of that auto shop, the world felt too big and too quiet all at once, like someone had unplugged the only life I'd ever known. No clanging tools, no ringing phones, no smell of coolant or brake fluid, just the hollow echo of everything I'd built being handed to a man who still confuses spark plugs with fuses. I didn't go home because home wasn't home anymore. It was just another place where I wasn't chosen. I walked with no destination in mind. Boots hitting pavement as my thoughts spiraled, my chest tightening with every replay of my parents' words. Every block I passed smelled like motor oil, sun-baked asphalt, and memories I didn't want to think about. Then my phone buzzed. Once, twice, then non-stop. Dad saying, "We need to talk." Mom pleading, "Please come back." Paige whining, "This isn't what I wanted." And Nate, the idiot who caused all of this, texting, "Be professional, don't make this messy." Messy. The audacity almost made me laugh. I shoved the phone away before I threw it at a street sign. Then a voice cut through the noise. Lucas, jogging toward me with grease still on his cheek. He asked if I was okay. I said no, but I was functioning. He took me to the park 3 blocks away, the same place I used to sit during lunch breaks as a teenager eating sandwiches with oil-stained fingers. We sat on the bench while he bought sodas from the vending machine that eats quarters. When I finally spoke, I asked the question, burning a hole through my skull, "Did you know?" He paused. Too long, too guilty, and admitted he'd heard rumors from suppliers that my dad mentioned a future owner. He didn't tell me because he didn't think they'd actually do it. That hurt almost as much as the betrayal itself. But then he said the shop wouldn't survive this, and I said, "Good." He said, "I didn't mean that, but I did." A coldness had taken root in me, sharp and settled like a blade. When he asked what I'd do now, the answer came out before I could rethink it. "I build my own," and he nodded, like he'd been waiting for that. We sat there until a black SUV pulled onto the street. My parents' car. My mom climbed out, followed by Paige. Both looked terrified. My mom begged me to come back because there's a problem. I told her to solve it. Paige shook her head and whispered that Nate had already messed up. That didn't shock me. What shocked me was the mistake. Nate filed the wrong papers. Instead of transferring ownership, he accidentally filed for full dissolution. If it wasn't corrected fast, the entire shop would be shut down in days. I stared at them, stunned but not sympathetic. They needed me. The daughter they didn't choose, the mechanic they took for granted, the person they thought was replaceable. My mom said the lawyers told them I was the only person who could undo the mistake. Paige begged. My mom shook. And all I felt was a dark, quiet clarity. Some disasters don't need revenge. Sometimes people destroy themselves. All you have to do is step aside. So I looked my mother in the eye, voice steady, and said, "You'll figure it out." Then I turned, Lucas falling into step beside me, while their fear clung to us like smoke from a burning building. When I walked away from them in the park, I expected guilt to crawl up my spine, or at least some faint spark of pity, but nothing came. No regret, no hesitation, not even a flicker of second thoughts, just silence inside me. Calm, cold, absolute. The kind of silence you get right before a storm you've already decided to enjoy. Lucas walked beside me, matching my pace even though he kept glancing back, like he'd just witnessed the opening scene of a disaster movie. After a full block, he finally asked, "So, you're really not gonna help them?" I didn't look at him. They weren't thinking about me when they signed the shop away. "This is bigger than hurt feelings," he said. "Their whole business could shut down." "Not my business," I replied. the words sliding out sharper than I intended, but perfectly true. Not anymore, he exhaled like he wanted to argue, but even he couldn't pretend they didn't earn this. We walked until the park disappeared behind us and the city noise swallowed everything. Eventually, I stopped outside an old warehouse. Not abandoned, but close. Rusted shutters, faded brick, cracked concrete. It wasn't pretty, but it called to me in a way the auto shop never had. This, I said quietly, could work. Lucas looked at me like I'd lost my mind. As what, a set for a horror movie? I rolled my eyes. As my shop, he blinked, processing. You're serious? Dead serious. I had no plan, no money, no blueprint, but something about that building made sense. It felt like a blank page, something my parents and Nate hadn't touched, tainted, or claimed, a space with no ghosts except mine. Before we could look closer, a car honked aggressively behind us. I turned around expecting a stranger. It wasn't. Paige, again. This time she didn't bother with pleading eyes or trembling lips. She got out of the car like someone preparing herself to step into a lion's cage. Can we talk? She asked, wary of Lucas standing protectively at my side. I think we already did, I said. You didn't let me finish earlier, she said. There's more? Of course there is, I muttered. She swallowed hard. Nate didn't just file the wrong papers. I raised an eyebrow. Shocking. She ignored the sarcasm. He also signed a contract with a supplier without reading it. And he agreed to a 6-figure inventory order. My jaw clenched. For what inventory? He doesn't even know what half the parts are. Exactly, she whispered. The supplier is demanding payment today. Lucas swore under his breath. Paige stepped closer. If the shop shuts down, Mom and Dad lose the house, the retirement fund, everything. That sounds like poor planning. I said coldly, not my concern. She wrapped her arms around herself. You hate me, I get it, but you don't hate them. I looked at her, then really looked. She wasn't the polished corporate princess who always got the easy path. She was scared, pale, fragile, the reality of consequences finally hitting her full force. But fear wasn't the same as remorse. You knew, I said, maybe not everything, but you knew they were choosing him over me. She didn't deny it. That alone told me enough. I didn't think it would hurt you this much, she whispered. I thought you'd just roll with it. You always do. My throat tightened, not in sadness, but in anger at how predictable they all believed I was. I'm not a floor mat, I snapped. I don't bounce back on command. I know, she said, voice trembling. I'm trying to fix it. No, I replied, stepping back. You're trying to fix the consequences, not the choices. Her shoulders fell. She turned to leave, defeated, but paused halfway to the car. Mom said something else, she murmured slowly. Something I think you deserve to hear. I didn't respond, but she continued anyway. Dad told Nate last week that he only chose him because a man should run the family business. Mom tried to argue, but he wouldn't budge. Silence swallowed the street. A heavy, suffocating silence. Lucas whispered, Are you serious? Paige nodded. And Nate only agreed because it made him feel powerful. He thinks you're a threat. I am, I said simply. She nodded again. Dad didn't think you'd fight this. He thought you'd stay, keep doing the hard work while Nate took the credit. My vision went hot at the edges. Anger, humiliation, clarity, all colliding inside me like a spark hitting gasoline. You should have told me, I said. I know. Before they pulled this? I know. She looked at me with a broken honesty I'd never seen in her. I'm sorry. For the first time since everything shattered, a tiny crack of emotion slipped into me. Not forgiveness, not softness, but the realization that Paige wasn't the villain. She was just another casualty of parents who thought tradition mattered more than fairness, more than loyalty, more than me. But before I could respond, her phone rang. She checked the caller ID and went white. It's Dad, she whispered. He's at the shop. Something in her voice made the hair on my arms rise. She put the phone on speaker. My father's voice blasted through. Panicked, frantic, nothing like the man who dismissed me an hour ago. "Paige, where are you? The auditors are here right now. They're saying the dissolution papers have already triggered the first phase." His voice cracked. My mother screamed something in the background. Lucas stiffened beside me. Paige's breath shook as she whispered, "Dad, what do you want me to do?" My father's answer came out broken. "Find your sister. Tell her we need her. Please." And the line went dead. Paige lifted her eyes to mine, full of terror. "What do we do?" she whispered. I stared at her, then at the warehouse behind me, then at the direction of the shop burning down without fire. Inside my chest, something shifted. Not forgiveness, not duty. Something darker, something colder, something with teeth. "We don't do anything," I said softly. And Paige realized, maybe for the first time, that this story was not going to end clean at all. Paige stood frozen, her phone still in her hand like it was burning her palm. But I felt nothing. No rush of panic, no instinct to fix everything like I always had. Just a cold, heavy calm spreading through me as if my heart finally understood something my mind had been screaming for years, that saving people who would gladly watch you drown is a choice, not a duty. Lucas studied my face, searching for some hint of emotion, but there wasn't any left to find. "You're really not going," he whispered. "No," I said. "I'm not." Paige's breath hitched like she'd been punched. "You can't mean that." "I do." "They're terrified," she insisted. "They're losing everything," I corrected. "There's a difference." She swallowed hard. "This isn't like the usual fights. This is serious." So was taking my future and handing it to someone who couldn't run a lemonade stand without instructions. "Please," she begged, stepping closer, voice cracking. "Just talk to them." "For what?" I asked. "Closure? Apology? A pat on the head? I know how this goes. I walk in, I fix everything, they pretend they did nothing wrong, and then I go back to being invisible." Paige shook her head desperately. "Will they listen this time?" "No," I said. "They won't. They only listen when consequences show up at their door." Her eyes filled with tears, but I didn't budge. She opened her mouth to argue again, but her phone buzzed. Another call. This time she answered without hesitation. "Dad?" His voice exploded through the speaker, frantic and ragged. "Where are you?" "The auditors are threatening to start liquidation. They said the paperwork Nate filed triggered a chain reaction. The suppliers are blocking our accounts. We're locked out of the system. Your mother is hysterical." "Dad," Paige whispered, "just calm down. We're trying." "Trying?" he roared. "You should have been here an hour ago." Paige flinched. Lucas muttered something under his breath. I stayed silent. "Where is she?" my father demanded. And there it was, the question that revealed everything he truly cared about. Fixing the shop, not fixing what he broke with me. Paige hesitated. "She's with me." "Put her on," he snapped. "Dad, she's not." "Put her on." Her trembling hand lifted the phone toward me like a fragile offering. I didn't move. Paige pleaded silently with her eyes, but I didn't take the phone. I wanted to hear what he'd say when he realized he didn't have access to me anymore. After 5 seconds of silence, my father hissed, "If she doesn't fix this, it's on her head." Paige gasped. Lucas swore loudly. I felt everything, every sacrifice, every midnight shift, every moment of loyalty turned to ash. Blame. That was his instinct. Not remorse, not humility, not regret, blame. I leaned close enough for my voice to be heard through the speaker without touching the phone. "It's not on my head," I said calmly. "It's on yours!" The line went dead immediately. Paige stared at the phone like it betrayed her. "Why would he say that?" she whispered. Lucas shook his head. "Because he's never taken responsibility for anything." Paige ran a hand through her hair, trembling. "If the shop closes, what happens to them?" I shrugged. "They learn what it feels like to live in the fallout of their own decisions." Then something shifted in Paige's expression. Confusion at first, then realization. then fear. Wait, she said quietly, staring at me. If the shop shuts down, you benefit. I didn't flinch. Yes, because you're planning to open your own shop. Yes, and the market can't support two competing shops this close together. Correct? So if theirs goes under, mine thrives. Paige covered her mouth with her hand. Oh my God, she whispered. This isn't just you stepping back. You're letting it happen. No, I said, they're making it happen. I'm just not stopping it anymore. She shook her head slowly, like she was seeing someone unfamiliar. This isn't you. It's always been me, I said. You just didn't notice. She took a shaky step backward. I need to go. Then go, I said. She nearly sprinted to the car, fumbling with the keys. As she sped away, Lucas exhaled a long breath, rubbing the back of his neck. I don't know whether to admire you or be terrified of you. Why not both? I said. He laughed under his breath, but there was truth in his eyes. My edges were sharper now, and he knew it. So what now? He asked quietly. Now? I said, turning to the warehouse again. We build. Lucas nodded. Then let's get to work. And for a moment, for the briefest heartbeat, it felt like hope. Dark, quiet, powerful. But that was before the next twist hit like a wrench thrown full force into a glass window. As Lucas and I approached the warehouse doors, a black car slowly rolled up to the curb. Not Paige's, not my parents', something unfamiliar. The window lowered. Not a stranger. Nate. He looked different, sweaty, panicked, wild around the eyes. Get in, he said through clenched teeth. I stiffened. Absolutely not. It's not a request, he said, gripping the steering wheel. Your parents sent you? I asked. No, he said. I'm here for me. Lucas stepped in front of me. Back off, Nate ignored him. You want to build your own shop? He said, breathing hard. Fine, but you need to hear what's coming first. Nothing you say matters, I replied. Oh, it does, he whispered, because someone else is involved. Someone bigger, someone who wants the shop. Gone. My stomach dropped. Who? He swallowed. Your grandfather. The world tilted. Everything went still. Lucas whispered, what? Nate leaned in, voice shaking. Your grandfather isn't sick. He isn't retired. He's been waiting for a reason to take the shop back. And now, thanks to me, he laughed, a hollow, broken sound. Thanks to me, he has one. A chill ran up my spine. Lucas whispered, why would he want it back? Nate looked directly at me, eyes haunted. Because he wants you to have it, and he'll burn your parents to the ground to make it happen. Everything inside me shifted. Shock, fear, disbelief, fury, and suddenly the story wasn't about betrayal anymore. It was about war. I didn't move. I didn't blink. I didn't breathe. Nate's words didn't just hit me. They carved straight through me. Sharp and sudden, like someone had taken a welding torch to the one truth I thought I understood. That this entire nightmare started with my parents' betrayal. But now there was a new name sitting in the ashes. My grandfather, the man who practically raised my father, who taught him the trade, who built the original auto shop with bare hands and stubborn pride, a man who retired years ago claiming he was too tired to run a business in a world that didn't respect honest work anymore. And now Nate was telling me he wasn't retired. He was waiting, watching, planning. My voice came out low, like it was pulled from somewhere deep. Explain! Every word, Nate swallowed hard, gripping the steering wheel so tightly his knuckles blanched white. Your parents never told you the full story. The shop? It wasn't theirs to give. My stomach twisted. What? It's your grandfather's, legally. He put their names on the paperwork years ago for tax reasons, but ownership never actually transferred. They still needed his approval for major decisions. Lucas muttered an unrepeatable word under his breath. I didn't speak. Nate continued. Your dad wanted the shop to stay in the family, but he didn't want to give it to you. He said, his voice cracked, he said you were too emotional to run a real business. The words sliced through me, deep, clean, familiar. The same excuse he'd used 100 times in 100 ways. Your grandfather disagreed, Nate said. He said you were the only one with the skills, the grit, the brains. I stared at him, but he didn't waver. Your dad told him no, Nate added. He said he was picking me because I'm a man and this business needs a leader who can command respect. Your grandfather lost it. I wasn't there, but Paige overheard a screaming match. Lucas let out a slow, furious breath. I felt nothing, or maybe I felt everything. Muted, muted, muted. Like hearing an explosion underwater. Grandpa told them, Nate whispered, that if they didn't hand the shop to you, he'd pull everything, the support, the funding, the building, all of it. My pulse throbbed in my neck. So they panicked, Nate continued. They tried to fast-track the transfer behind his back, thinking he wouldn't notice. But he did, Nate nodded. Of course he did. I leaned in slightly. Then explain the dissolution. Nate closed his eyes briefly. That was me. I screwed that part up. I didn't read the forms. A hollow laugh slipped out of me. You destroyed their shop with one form? 2, he whispered. The second one triggered an automatic review from the auditors. Lucas rubbed a hand over his face. So you tanked the whole business by accident? No, Nate said. I tanked it, but your grandfather is the one making sure the fire spreads. I narrowed my eyes. Why? Nate hesitated, then whispered, because he wants them to lose everything, so the shop resets back to its original owner. Him. My entire body went cold. Lucas said what I couldn't. So your grandfather is sabotaging his own son? Nate nodded. Nate said your parents forgot who built the shop, forgot the values, forgot the blood that went into it. And he said if anyone should run it next, it's you. My throat tightened. Anger, betrayal, confusion. They all tried to rise at once. I swallowed them down. If he wants me to have it, I said sharply, why burn it to the ground? Nate's shoulder slumped. Because he thinks you'll rebuild it right. The air around us felt too thin, too sharp. My grandfather, the man who used to slip me peppermint candies while teaching me how to check brake lines. The man who told me I had mechanic's instinct, not because I was smart, but because I listened. The man who always told my father to treat me like a partner, not a child. The man who disappeared quietly into retirement and now was pulling strings from the shadows. Why are you telling me this? I asked. Because, Nate whispered, I don't want to be the villain in your story. It was too late for that, but I stayed quiet. Your parents think I caused everything, he said, but your grandfather, he's controlling the entire board. And now? He wants to speak with you. A chill ran through me. When? Now? Before I could respond, a voice crackled from inside Nate's car. Deep, stern, unmistakable. Is she there? My heart dropped straight to the pavement. Grandpa. Alive. Strong. Commanding. Not frail, not fading. Listening. Waiting. Nate swallowed and answered, yes, sir. She's right here. Lucas stepped in front of me automatically like a shield. My instincts told me to run, my logic told me to listen, my heart told me to be careful, but my curiosity leaned in. The voice spoke again, firmer this time. Put me on speaker. Nate's trembling hand tapped the screen. The voice filled the air. Granddaughter. My breath caught. He'd never called me that. Not once. Not ever. Do you know, he said, voice low and sharp as a blade, why your parents never wanted you to have the shop? I stayed silent. Because, he said, they knew you'd surpass them. And people like that, he added, would rather cripple their own blood than watch you rise. Lucas squeezed my hand without looking at me. Grandpa continued, the shop is yours by right, and if I must burn every bridge in this family to return it to its rightful owner, I will. My pulse hammered, my brain raced. Grandpa inhaled slowly, but before anything moves forward, I need you to answer one question. The air stilled. Even the street went quiet. Do you want the shop back, he asked, or do you want them to lose it? A chill shot through me, spine to fingertips, because the truth, the dark, dangerous truth, was that the answer wasn't simple. Grandpa waited, Nate waited, Lucas waited, and for the first time in this entire twisted story, I didn't know whether my next words would save a legacy or end one.